You've probably heard the bromide attributed to Franklin Roosevelt, in which he supposedly said, "If it happens in politics, it was planned that way." That's another way of saying that much of what we hear in the news regarding national affairs is the result of careful, deliberate planning. Little, if anything, of national significance is ever allowed to happen organically or by happenstance. With painstakingly built power structures and billions of dollars in investments at stake, the powers that be can scarcely afford to allow events beyond their control to undermine and potentially topple their control of the nation's affairs. Hence the assumption that mainstream political news is carefully stage managed. So with that in mind, it begs the question, what exactly is the recent Trump versus Elon feud all about? That squabble, obviously between two major titans, is entirely scripted, and that's without question. When you can visit any online news source in the US and in any other major country, and the first headline you see is the Trump-Elon debacle, you know you're dealing with a psyop of the first magnitude. So the question is, what is it truly all about? Well, speculation is rife in the alternative press that perhaps this phony feud is to distract from something that was starting to gain attention, particularly among left-leaning Americans, namely the AI provisions that were inserted into Trump's big fat tax bill. Specifically, Trump's bill included a prohibition against states regulating artificial intelligence for 10 years, which presumably would allow Silicon Valley free rein to build out the nation's digital gulag with impunity. Now, prior to the Trump-Elon battle, even the left-leaning Young Turks YouTube channel was beginning to openly question whether Trump's initiatives would usher in a technocratic prison for America. When even the purblind left begins casting a critical eye at big tech, you know the powers that be cannot allow that to continue. So no sooner did the left begin questioning those AI provisions than the Trump-Elon circus got into full swing. But another possibility I think also has to be considered. Immediately prior to the outbreak of this political farce, the escalation of the Ukraine-Russian war was making headlines when Ukraine launched a successful drone attack on Russian air bases. In response to this attack, President Trump declared his support for Ukraine, and he also gave his approval for the drone attack. Then Russia responded with a massive attack of its own against the capital city of Kiev. With the U.S. having just signed a minerals deal with Ukraine, and with Russia apparently controlling much of the area where those key minerals are located, it doesn't take much thought to realize that a conflict involving direct involvement with the U.S. military and Russia could be on the immediate horizon. So perhaps this is what the Trump-Elon fight is intended to distract against, at least until the powers that be decide the time is ripe to announce the real main event. Of course, time will ultimately reveal the true intention of this latest national distraction, but for now, we can only speculate. One thing that is undoubtedly sure, however, there's more to this story than meets the eye, and the official version of the Trump-Elon battle is almost certainly not the real one. This is South Bay. Thanks for listening.